If you've been paying attention to the internet, you probably saw Alex Hormozi do his $105 million launch for the $100 million money models. Now I'm going to tell you guys exactly how you guys can get a copy of this book for free from myself. I actually, I bought his core offer, which was $6,000, and then I enrolled into his high ticket coaching, which included 6 workshops with him and his team. And that was that ended up giving me 1,000 books to give away to you guys, which I'm super excited about. But the one thing that I've really learned from this book, which it came with 12, if you did their high ticket coaching, it came with all of these additional playbooks, and it's like, it also has an AI where you can ask it any question and it will show you exactly in the book where you need to find the information. So the AI is crazy. And I can actually share my screen right now and show you exactly what that looks like. So if I pull this up, and you can see if you ask it a question when you're talking about price raising here, it'll give you, and it's all predicated on Alex Hormozi. So if you even try to argue with it, it says, no, that's not the information. So if I click on this right here, it pulls up the spot in the book about exactly how to do that. So what I wanted to do is talk to you guys about one of the key things that I learned from this book, and it really comes down to like commissions. And he talks about how like the easiest way to inject money into your business is to just do a 10% price raise. So whether that's buyer's agent commission, listing commission, you know, one of the things that I think happens with a lot of agents, and I see this calls all the time, especially with agents that do high volume, is a buyer or seller will call them up. It's typically sellers. I'm seeing it more in this market with buyers as well because of the way that people are envisioning the price changes. You know, people believe that commissions were going to crash when the NAR settlement hit, and consumers, and actually if you look at the commission rate of today, it's actually higher than it was back in like 2019. And really when the market slows down, it becomes more of a skills-based market, and it really means that the professionals are out. NAR is projecting that 20% of agents are going to leave the industry in 26, and that we're going to see a 500,000 unit increase in home sales in 2026. So that means you're going to have 1 million more sides of sales, 20% less agents. So the average agent's volume should increase substantially. So now imagine adding 10% increase in your commissions to your bottom line, and you are going to be seeing a dramatic increase. And that's what I love helping agents do more than anything. And, you know, all of my partners here at EXP, I just got off of a coaching call walking them through how to have these conversations. And if that's something that you're interested in, or you're looking at changing brokerages because you just want to align with people that are in the same, you know, environment as you and doing the things that you want to do, then just book a call on my Calendly link right here, or you can email, text me. And also, I'll give you guys a little tidbit about how we have those conversations. Say someone calls you up, hey Jesse, this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we're thinking about selling our house, you know, just wanted to see how much you charge. Well, first of all, thank you guys for even thinking of me. That's a great honor. Secondly, I wanted to ask you, how much do you think your house is probably worth? You know, oh, I don't know, we don't really know, that's why we're calling you, right? Well, have you guys looked it up on Zillow? Yeah, how much does Zillow think it's worth? Oh, Zillow says this estimate's $523,000. Okay, that's fantastic. You know, Zillow's typically in the ballpark, unless it's something super dramatically out there. I know every single agent, I'm not saying this client, I know every agent wants to fight with Zillow, but the reality is Zillow, you can go on their website, you can look and see how accurate their estimate is. It says like within like 1 mile, they're 97% accurate, 3 miles, 95, 5 miles, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, their algorithm is getting better every single day. So let's just say 523. All right, so in a real world, I'm probably, the commission rate is going to be anywhere from $5,000 up to $50,000. However, without seeing the house and give you the options of what you guys decide to choose to go forward with, I'm not going to be able to like give you an exact number, but that's the range. It's 5 to 50 grand. Anyone that's willing to give you a number over the phone, I would run the other way. They have no clue what the condition is. They have no clue what the pricing is. They have no clue what it's going to take to get your house sold. And they don't even know, you know, quite honestly, if you guys are going to be able to price it to actually get it sold. You know, a lot of agents take listings, they put it on the market, and it never sells. In fact, we just had our biggest month in the history of real estate of delisted homes this year. So my goal is to help you guys get to your guys' destination, whatever it may be. And that's why I'd love to come over, take a look at the house, sit down, explain to you each option, and therefore it's your guys' decision on what you guys want to do. So how about I come over tomorrow around 5 o'clock, or today I could come over at 7 o'clock. What sounds good to you guys? Oh, well, tomorrow would be a lot better, blah, 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 blah. And don't worry about cleaning the house or anything. It's all good. I just want to see it in the condition that it is. So when you go over there, you're going to have, really 3 options. If you guys aren't using a menu for your guys' pricing options right now, you're missing a huge opportunity. So 10% of consumers are going to buy the highest priced item because they think it's going to give them the best result no matter what. 80% are going to buy the best value. They buy on best value exchange, and then 10% are going to buy the lowest ticket item no matter what. They think the result's going to be the same no matter what the agent is that they hire. And here's the reality. I've worked in the for sale by owner space for a long time, and they believe even if they don't pay an agent nothing, but they net $50,000 less, that they won. That's how delusional people are. So, and I'm sure I'll get comments from people that are outside the industry saying, agents suck, this and that. My agent did nothing. And it's funny. I used to do tons of listings for sale by owners, and like if I sold them and got them multiple offers, I sold this one house. I listed it for $500, and then we sold it for $750. And it was during COVID. It was crazy. I knew people would want this house. I did massive amounts of marketing. I have a private investment network. I knew that the investors would want this house, and I was like, and then at the end he gave me a 4-star review, and he's just like, you could have got me more. I got him $250,000 over list. I think we actually sold it for $775. I had over 50 offers, $275, 5-day close. He could leave everything there, all the things. And you know what he said? He said, "Oh, it was too easy. You made too much money for doing hardly anything." And I said, "Why do you say that?" And he's like, "Because," he's like, "it was just too easy." I said, "So you want to pay me more to make it harder?" So when people start pushing back on commissions now, or they're like, I always ask them up front. I just say, "Look, do you guys want this to be really easy and make up the most amount of money? Or do you guys want it to be really hard and make the same amount of money?" I'm like, because sometimes people, want it to be hard to feel like they're getting a value. But if I get you your desired outcome, shouldn't really matter how, you guys want it to be as smooth as possible. So I feel like my system makes people sometimes feel like the value isn't there because it's too easy. So communication is most important, and teeing it up front is very important. So what you want is if it's 500,000, you want to have a 50,000, something that's 10 times more expensive. They talk about this in the book. And then whatever your middle ground item is, your core offer should be the next. So 10 times less. So say it's 50,000, it's $15,000 is like your core offer. 50,000 is your top tier offer, and then a low offer, which should be about $2,000 to $3,000 less. And that's like, you're just going to do the bare minimum: sign, lockbox, MLS listing, professional photography, but your next offer is going to include, a lot more. And that could be more. It just depends. You're the captain of your own ship. So anyone that leads with this is the industry standard, I hate that model. I hate when people say that, and, so that's the conversation you're going to have. And you're going to tell them, hey, when I come over, my intention is that we sign a listing agreement, and then so I can immediately start getting to work with you as long as it is following your guys' timeline. Because you want to tee them up for the fact that they're going to work with you. And they know when you come over there, and make sure that you can't do this if your listing presentation and everything is a joke. You have to be a professional, act like a professional. We're the only industry that doesn't take a retainer. We're the only industry that doesn't bill for the work that we're doing along the way. We're the only industry that only gets paid upon a successful closing. And it's crazy. And then you see all these people talking all sorts of craziness about how agents are overpaid. And it's funny. I don't even want to get into it, but it's just very funny. So let's just say a buyer calls you up and they're like, "Hey, Jesse, you came highly recommended. We just wanted to see how much you charge." I just say, "Fantastic. I'm really grateful that I was referred to you by XYZ. I'm gonna have to make sure to reach out to them. But the menu of options that I have is representing you as a buyer agent is variable. Do you know what your budget is?" "Yeah, we're about 500. "Okay, it's going to cost anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000, the exact same thing, depending on which menu of services you guys decide to go with." Anyone that's willing to give you a price over the phone, I would run the other way. What happens if, there's so many different variables. By the way, when's the last time you guys purchased a house? "Oh, we're a first-time home buyer." Okay, well, the first step in the process is really going through a buyer consultation. and it's about 60 to 90 minutes. We can do it on Zoom or in person, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I'll walk you through the entire process, exactly what I do, what I expect you guys to do. And at the end of that, you guys are gonna be fully educated on what it takes to buy a house. And at the end of that, I'll show you my menu of services, and you can decide which route you guys wanna go. And if you guys decide not to work with me, then we'll just shut it down and we'll go our separate ways. But at least you'll have the education and the information to move forward, right? And so if they're like, oh no, we don't want to do the consultation, this and that, and then I just say, the only way I can actually provide you the commissions that I offer is by going through this, and it's only to benefit you and help you along with your goals. I don't charge anything for that. This is really just to, blah, 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 whatever, and look, and then you can even say things like, hey, look, I think it's really I admire the fact that you're actually calling around getting commissions, because that's what our best clients do. And it also shows that you're committed to actually buying a house. So that's really important to me. So, more than likely, when you guys see what the menu of services are, there's going to be something in there that really fits with what you're looking for. You always want to keep cycling it back and giving them, playing into the fact that they're doing whatever they're doing and whatever they're asking, right? Hey Jesse, I'm only willing to pay you 1%. Look, I really admire the fact that you guys are only willing to pay 1%. Some of our best clients said that they were only going to pay us 1%. By the way, do you know how buyer's agents get paid in this modern market? Yeah, the buyer has to pay them. Well, see, that's where there's a lot of confusion in our industry. 99% of all home sales, the seller is still paying the buyer's agent compensation. We just don't know, based on the price that it's listed on the market, say at $500,000, if they're paying 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, 10%. We just don't know. So that's why going through this process is extremely important, so that way you know how all this works. Well, how much do you charge? Well, that's the thing, is I charge a range. It's anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 depending on what you guys want. So if you guys want the $5,000 option, that's great. We just, I'm giving you guys my baseline. So it sounds like you love doing research. So I would love to get you guys on the consultation. I have tomorrow at 5, tomorrow at 5:30. Like I said, if you guys decide not to work with me, that's it. But we have to do this consultation before anything else, because we have to have a buyer broker agreement signed. So, and if they just say, oh, we only want the $5,000 offer, the $5,000 option, great. I appreciate that. Let's schedule you on the consultation. We'll walk through the process, and then we'll sign the $5,000 option at the end of the thing if you guys decide to move forward with me, right? You can always cycle back to that. So there's a lot that goes into that. I'll make another video about how to have conversations with sellers when you're presenting offers. Let's just say your buyer broker agreements for 5% and the seller's only wanting to pay 2.5%. We'll talk about that in another video, but I promise you guys, if you guys want a copy of the $1 Million Money Models, just reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Just say, hey, I watched your video. I'd love a copy of the $100 Million Money Models, and I'll send it over to you. And until next time, we'll catch you later.